Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theravada Buddhism series, Dhamma talk number 19. Beautiful mental factors, Sobhana Cetasika, part 3. In the last two parts, we have completed 7 mental factors which are very important as a society and as well as individuality, which connects again back to the society. Today we are going to discuss starting from the 8th beautiful mental factor. Here, they always come in pair. 8 and 9, 10 and 11, 12 and 13, as such. 8 and 9th, beautiful mental factor. It's called tranquility and calm of mental body and consciousness. In Pali, Kaya Pasati and Citta Pasati. So before we go into it, I'd like to discuss about a word, Kaya, because the title is Kaya Pasati and Citta Pasati. Kaya. Usually the word Kaya means physical body, rupa. Mindfulness of the body. That is Kaya Nupassana or Rupa Nupassana. So that is the usual meaning, common meaning of word the Kaya. It pointed to the physicality, materiality. But in here, it means mental body, not physical body, but mental body. Nama Kaya, mental body. In other words, mental body is actually mental factors, Cetasika. Mental factor, Cetasika. But the usage is mental body and consciousness. So, Kaya Pasati means tranquility of mental factors. And Citta Pasati means tranquility of consciousness. So this pair is about tranquility of mental factors or mental body and tranquility of consciousness. So from now on, In these discussions, kaya means mental body. The characteristics of these two beautiful mental factors are quieting down negativity in the mental body and consciousness, quieting down of the negativities in the mental body and consciousness. Or you can say suppressing feverishness of passion. That's how it is written in the book. Suppressing feverishness of the passion. And its function is to demolish such negativities or fever. Function is to demolish such negativities or fever. It manifests as peacefulness without a trace of worry and anxiety. This feeling of peacefulness is due to the presence of tranquility of the mental body and consciousness. During meditation, a yogi will experience calm and tranquility, passaddhi. When you have a good meditation session, samatha or vipassana, doesn't matter. You got into a zone where there is a calm and tranquil. And the proximate cause of this tranquility is mental body and consciousness. In other words, the mind, Ceta and Cetasika. The mind is the cause of this tranquility. That is a pair, 8 and 9. And the next pair is 10 and 11, beautiful mental factors. In English, lightness of mental body and lightness of consciousness. In Pali, kaya lahuta and ceta lahuta. This word lahuta means lightness as opposed to heaviness. Its characteristic is of subsiding heaviness in the mental body and consciousness. Its function is to crush heaviness. Okay. And heaviness, let's give an example so that we understand clearly. When one becomes sleepy, whether in meditation or even in a normal state, what happens? to your physical body as well as the mental body. They become heavier and heavier, drowsier and drowsier, heavier. That's what it means by heaviness. Your body weight doesn't change, but the way you feel becomes heavy and heavy, drowsy. And that is heaviness. Opposite to that is lightness. And it manifests as non-sluggishness. This lightness manifests as non-sluggishness. Like when one is alert, it brings lightness. If you are alert, you feel your body is light and your mind is light, sharp and quick. That's non-sluggishness. Another word is alertness. When a yogi has this beautiful mental factor, will felt so light in meditation, of course, will felt so light as if one is floating or levitating. Some of you might have already experienced it. You're meditating and you felt like you're floating or levitating. That light. And this lightness or lahuta is opposed to sloth and torpor. Remember one of the 5 hindrances? Sloth and torpor is opposed to sloth and torpor. Its prospect cause is the same as the other, the mental body and consciousness. That is the second pair, 10 and 11, lightness. The first one is tranquility, the first pair. Second pair, lightness. Now the third pair. The third pair, in the book it is translated as the word malleability. Malleability of mental body and malleability of consciousness. In Pali, Kaya Mudutta and Citta Mudutta. Actually, the meaning of mudutta is softness. It is softness as opposed to stiffness, hardness, rigidity, opposed to softness is opposed to stiffness, hardness, rigidity. But it is translated as malleability or compliant. It complies. But my teacher prefers the word softness to malleability, softness to compliance. So that's why we can dub the heading as softness and tenderness of mental body and consciousness. Its characteristic is of subsiding stiffness and rigidity. It subsides or it suppresses stiffness and rigidity. And it is opposed to wrong view and conceits. How come it is opposed to wrong views and conceit? What it just makes is softness. Because when a person has wrong views or conceit, it makes that person hard, rigid, stubborn. Dig a trench, hold the ground, not changing, ready to fight. That's what wrong view and conceit does. It makes a person hard, tough, rigid, and stubborn. That's why the softness or malleability is opposed to wrong views and conceit. Its function is to soften the rigid mental body and the rigid mind or rigid consciousness, to soften these rigid nature of the mind. That's its function. It manifests as compliancy. It makes hard and tough people to comply. Hard and tough minds to comply, to become soft. That's a manifestation, compliancy. And its proximate causes, these pairs are all the same. Proximate causes, mental body and consciousness. So that is the third pair. The fourth pair, or number 14 and 15, beautiful mental factors. It's called adaptability of mental body and consciousness. Okay. Translated as, in Pali, Kaya Kamanyata and Chitta Kamanyata. This Kamanyata, we all know karma is action. Literally, it means walkable. Walkable, serviceable. That's what the word means. But in the English translated book, especially the latest one, it translated as wilderness. Kamanyata is translated as wilderness. Which means this mental factor can do what one wants with it. Wielding power. That is the meaning of wilderness. Can make others do or make the object to make it happen as it wish. Its characteristic is suppression or subsiding of unwalkableness of mental body and consciousness. It's a difficult situation to walk, unwalkable. A lot of tough and hard situation, always opposing, fighting. But this mental factor, this pair, can make that situation walkable, operatable, functionable. So, its function is to crush the unsurfaceableness. Its function is to crush the unsurfaceableness. It manifests as an adaptable mental body and consciousness in making something. In other words, this mind becomes very adaptable, know how to do, in modern words, knows how to negotiate, how to do give and take, and make the whole situation work beautifully. I'm using my own words. That's what adaptable means. It can adapt into any kind of difficulty and situation or wrong conditions and make it right. That's why instead of wilderness, we'd like to use adaptability of mental body and consciousness instead of wilderness of mental body and consciousness. We can use adaptability of mental body and consciousness. Kaya kamanyata and Chitta kamanyata. Of course, the proximate cause is the same. The mind, the mental body and consciousness. And the next pair, number 16 and 17, beautiful mental factor, is translated as proficiency of mental body and proficiency of consciousness. In Pali, Kaya Pagunyata and Chitta Pagunyata. Pagunyata. In the books, it is commonly translated as proficiency. Pagunyata, proficiency, proficient, thoroughly known, skillful in the matter. That is the translated word in English books. Proficient, skillful. However, again, my teacher said, Pagunyata, its root word, has three meanings. One meaning is straightness. Second meaning is proficiency. And the third meaning is good states or good condition. There are three meanings. Straightness is being cancelled because it has its own category, will be coming. Proficiency, we know it is skillful, familiar, on top of it. And the third one is a good state or a good condition. these two. But my teacher pointed out, in the characteristic it said, the characteristics of Bhagunyata is suppression of sickness of mind, suppression of sickness of mind. That's why he prefers the word good state or good condition. In other words, good state, good condition mean healthy, healthiness. He prefers the word healthiness of the mental body and the consciousness. Over the word proficiency. And this mental factor or this pair is opposed to not having faith and confidence, not having full faith and confidence. Once a person has this pair of mental factors and consciousness, his faith is in full swing. It has full confidence in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And its function is to crush the unhealthiness of the mind. Unhealthiness of the mind. What makes mind unhealthy? It makes mind unhealthy not having confidence in the process, in the Dharma that can take you to the domain of Ariya. That's make it unhealthy. Unhealthy mind, sick mind, a mind with disease. So this is the fifth pair. And the sixth, or the 18th and 19th, beautiful mental factor, the sixth pair, is straightness of mental body and straightness of consciousness. That's why my teacher rejected the translation, the one above, straightness, straight out, because it has its own category. Straightness of mental body and straightness of consciousness. In Pali, Kaya Ujjukata and Ceta Ujjukata. So there's the word Ujjukata. It means straightness or rectitude, translated as straightness or rectitude, which are opposed to crookedness, deception, and craftiness. Opposed to crookedness, deception, and craftiness. That's what it means by straightness. Straightforward, not crooked, not deceptive. Straightforward, sincere, correct. Its characteristic is the uprightness of the mental body and consciousness. Uprightness of the mental body and consciousness. Its function is to crush tortuousness, the word written in the book. Basically, it is crooked, deceptive. Of the mental body and consciousness, to crush something that is deceptive, crooked, crafty. It manifests as non-crookedness. Manifests as non-crookedness, meaning that there are no unwholesome states of mind. Unwholesome states of mind are the one that is crooked. This is the pure, wholesome states of mind. When you have this straightness, ujjhagata. So, those are 6 pair. Altogether, 12 beautiful mental factors. These 12 beautiful mental factors or mental states are put together as 6 pairs. And it is explained as because these crushes the opposite qualities when they are in pair. They crushes the opposite qualities of whatever they are as a pair together. And there are many more explanations, of course, but I will just present one. So, we have finished discussing altogether 19. 7 before and 12 now, so 19. These 19 beautiful mental factors always arise together with all beautiful and wholesome consciousness. Beautiful Sobhana. Beautiful consciousness, Sobhana Ceta. And these are called beautiful mental factors, Sobhana Cetasika. So if you look at them, these 6 pair, 12, they have the very specific job. Before, in the first ones, they are more like general. Non-greed, non-anger, impartiality. But in here, these work very specific. Tranquility, when you bring tranquility, it crushes worry and anxiety. It crushes passion. If I have to, in terms of nivarana, hindrances, it crushes kama chanda nivarana, sense desire. It crushes vyavada nivarana, ill will, hindrance of ill will. Tranquility crushes the first 2 hindrances. When there is tranquility, there's no trace of worry in your mind. When there is tranquility, there's no anxiety in your mind. When there is tranquility, there's no passion. for sense desire in your mind. Very specific antidote for the first two hindrances. And then lightness, lightness of mind, lahuta. That crushes what? Crushes sloth and torpor, sluggishness, laziness, sleepiness. This softness and tenderness of mind. Lightness of mind. Lightness of mind crushes sloth and torpor. Again, what? This is the one of the 5 hindrances. You can find sloth and torpor in the beginners yogis, intermediate yogis, advanced yogis, even Shimaglana, the left-hand disciple of the Buddha before he became an Arahat, endowed with great jhanas. You still have sloth and torpor. It attacks everyone. This mental state crushes sloth and torpor, lightness of the body and lightness of the mind. Lightness of the mental body, lightness of the consciousness. And also the third pair, adaptability. Third pair is softness of the mind. It crushes wrong view and conceit. Wrong view and conceit. Wrong view, ditthi, conceit, mana. Ditthi and mana. It just scale away all the rough edges and make it smooth. And for a Buddhist, that is the final defilements that we overcome. Conceit. One overcomes conceit only when one's become Arahat. That's what it crushes, very specific. Softness and tenderness, or malleability you can call, and adaptability. Adaptability, kamanyata. It reshapes every difficult opposition. It can reshape, it can remold every opposite difficult situation. And the healthiness crushes the disease of lack of confidence or faith. And straightness crushes deceitfulness and deviousness. In other words, all the unwholesome cetas, it crushes them all. So these 6 pairs have a very specific target to attack or erase or suppress or make them subside. Those are 19 beautiful mental factors. And all those 19 beautiful mental factors arises together with every beautiful consciousness or every beautiful wholesome consciousness. And some of the things like tranquility, okay, lightness, soft, tender, lack of rigidity, you can experience obviously in your meditation when you reach a certain level. These are not just simply theory. These are exact experiences one have in meditation, whether it is Vipassana or Samatha in some cases. So may all of you be able to develop these 19 beautiful mental factors, and may you have wholesome consciousness, beautiful consciousness at all time, as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.